1987. What a year for wrestling. The WWF had WrestleMania 3. They also invented Survivor Series. WCW invented Clash of the Champions. But forget all that type of wrestling. Our guest here today is an individual state champion for Simon Kenton and was a part of their 1987 Team State Championship. Sir, if you would, tell us who you are.
I'm Jeff Everman, Simon Kenton grad of 1989 and state champion at 98 pounds in 1987.
And you guys broke that glass ceiling and was able to get Simon Kenton there, as it stands of this filming, now the only Team State Championship in wrestling for Simon Kenton. And you guys had a heck of a squad. We'll talk about who was on that team, the members, how you guys done all that a little bit later in the video. But standard question, what gets you into wrestling in before 1987? What year do you get into it? How do you find it? Give us the nuts and bolts of that.
I get into wrestling as a 7th grader because, and I've watched several of your videos, and I can't believe somebody has not said this yet, but because I got cut from a basketball team. It comes to find out that they can only take so many 5'5" guards, and I didn't make that cut. And so it was a pretty sad day for me because basketball was always my true love. But then I think maybe a week later at Twin Hoffel, at the middle school, the feeder to Simon, there was an opportunist gentleman there by the name of Coach Bill Boyle who would always come to Simon and to Twin Hoffel and recruit those guys that didn't make the basketball team. And I happened to be one of them. And my parents, especially my mother, she always liked to keep us active. And now that I'm older and she's a little bit more truthful with me, the reason was just to keep us out of trouble. She always said she wanted to keep us active, but she would never really tell us why. But come to find out, she just wanted to keep us away from the bad things in life, I think, as youngsters. So I joined with Coach Boyle at wrestling in the 7th grade. And then I think that maybe between my 8th and 9th grade, I went to see a symposium in Cincinnati with a guy named Dan Gable.
Oh, yeah, never heard of him, right?
And that was kind of just pushed me over the top. You know, I didn't get to practice with him, but he gave just tips on things to do differently and to be a better athlete. And from there, I was hooked.
I completely. What a great person to get you started. Olympic champion. NCAA champion, Iowa.
Right. I think he lost 2 matches his entire high school and college career, both his senior finals.
What a way to lose, right? What a way to lose. So, and of course, Simon Kenton, Northern Kentucky, wrestling had kind of already had its roots in Northern Kentucky. We know other parts of the state in the 80s really hadn't adopted high school wrestling, if you will. So, Northern Kentucky, you already had Connor win the team title. Had a couple other great wrestlers come through. You had your Robbie Clarkston's at Connor. A couple of, your Campbell County had a couple guys already been on the podium, win state championship. So wrestling wasn't new. It was just cool the way that you found it. And I believe 87 you were a sophomore, correct?
That's correct.
So I like to ask guys this question that were kind of returning or multiple team state championships in a row. When you guys go in to did you guys do off-season work? Did you go to off-season camps? Walk us through that?
We did, but it was not affiliated with the high school. It was with the AAU, and I know I've heard Pat Martz and several other guys of my caliber or my weight class of wrestlers. It was through AAU, and one of the biggest guys that kind of touched me and made me who I was and am today was Joe Neely.
Yeah.
He was a great guy, and it was in the summers, and it just kind of kept you fine-tuned a little bit and get ready for the real, kind of the warm-up before the real thing.
I got you. And the reason that I bring that up is when you guys, was it October 15th? Has that always been like the official?
Correct. Okay. I agree. That was the first day you were allowed to be on the mats.
As a school entity.
As a school,
right?
Yeah,
okay.
Correct.
So
correct.
When you guys go in October 15th, I have to look up what day. I'll put what exactly, if it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday, because I love stuff like that. When you guys go in to the mat room, you guys are working out, getting your sweat on, new guys are on the team, whatever the case is. Do you look around and say like, man, we've got something here this year. We can we might be the best team in the state? Or do you realize what you have then?
I myself don't.
Okay.
Maybe like a Dave Barnes would, because I think he was a different breed of wrestler, as you well know. Yeah. I can remember a very specific event that we went to a tournament in Indian Hill.
Okay.
And I was blessed to have Mark Townsley as a coach who came from Oak Hills and went to Miami University to wrestle there. So when he knew at that time, I knew Kentucky has caught up, but at that time it seemed like Ohio was much better caliber of wrestlers than Kentucky. So
that's an accurate statement. I mean, that just is.
So to fix that, I guess we would always schedule to go to Ohio. Mm-hmm. So we're at this Indian Hill tournament on the weekend, and I remember I made it to the finals. I was lucky enough or good enough to make it to the finals. And I remember warming up in the corner with Coach Townsley, and Coach Boyle was there as well. And I remember looking over there, and I always had a problem with taller, linkier kids than because I was a short, stocky guy. Mm-hmm. And I remember looking at Coach Townley saying, "Do you think I can beat this kid?" Well, that was the wrong thing to say to a guy of his caliber, you know. And he said, you know, he saw my lack of confidence, I guess. So I went out there, and he decisioned me. I can't remember the score, but I lost, you know. And he told me after that I had beat myself before I even went out on the mat. So to answer your question, my confidence gained as the year went on. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think nobody was looking to me as a leader. You know, that was David Feener and David Barnes.
I got you.
You know, but I want to say that as the season progressed, and looking back at the newspaper clippings, like we got third the year before, mm-hmm. and we were supposed to do well. But I really didn't feel any pressure, you know, which I guess was a good thing, you know.
Because Hoptown had been the show for
quite a while.
85 and 86, they had, of course, team titles in 85, 86, had had your 80 persons who, rest in peace to 80, passed away. You had your Roger Holloways, you had your Gator Herrings, your Aaron Herrings. I mean, they were loaded top to bottom.
Right.
And you guys, you know, opposite end of the state, Northern Kentucky on the Ohio River, right here by Ohio or Cincinnati, Hopkinsville looking at the Mississippi River almost. So that's the one thing I love about doing this series, going out meeting guys, getting history out there for not just for me, but for the entire world to have access to, is Kentucky is one team state championship and one weight class. That's it. If you win it, you're the best. It's not classed, it's not division, it's not public-private split. So for 2 years in a row, Western Kentucky, you know, was king of the hill. Sure. Hoptown, man, they were rolling. They had it going on. And then Northern Kentucky, who you guys, I mean, did you guys ever see Hoptown?
Yes, they were always a well presence down there. Yes.
I mean, I'm talking like
on a dual meet.
Yeah,
we did not. They were just too far away.
I can understand that, and that's, you know, it's a Hoptown. Independence to Hoptown, I'm not exactly sure. I'll put in a Google Earth map here of how far it is, but it's not the easiest trip to make. You just don't accidentally drive from Independence to Hoptown. I mean, that's a long trip. So coming in to the season, you guys go to meets. Are you starting to see? Okay, hey, you know, whoa, we've got something here. You know, whoa.
Yes, I think there was, like I said, I think it was assumed that we had something there. The pieces had to fall into the right spot, but it was. And as the season progressed, you know, we were tough to beat. We were tough to beat top to bottom, mm-hmm. you know.
And that's we'll go over the names of everybody on the team a little bit later. But let's kind of talk about the 1987 postseason, because you have a very unique distinction. And we're going to, of course, kind of lead you or lead the audience, if you will, through it. That way we can kind of build up to the state tournament championship. In 87, and even up and through 2002, 2001 was the last season. 2002 was the first year that we had just regions, then straight to state. But 87, you guys had districts.
We did.
And tell us how you done in the 1987 districts.
Well, I did very well. I made it to the finals again, and I always had a young man from Scott. His name was Tim Buemi. He was always my nemesis, and actually he gave me one of my only 2 losses that season in the Northern Kentucky Athletic Conference. And I told Alex before, it always sucked when you had a really good opponent in your districts, because not only did you see him at districts, you saw him at districts, region, semi-state, and state. But so it was Tim and myself again in the finals, and I was able to pull off a decision win at the districts, getting the gold.
And so district champion, you go to regions the next weekend. How did that work out for you?
Regions was even tougher. Obviously, you've got the best 8 from the best 8 from the groups of 16 their districts before, and I was able to get to the finals again. And I was pleasantly surprised that Mr. Buami did not make it to the finals. He had gotten beat by a guy named Russ Cotton, who was a pretty darn good wrestler from Danville as well. And I made it to the finals, I think, against Bruce Pearl, who also was a state guy. And that was a decision match as well.
Now, just so we're clear, it's not the Bruce Pearl that coaches Auburn basketball, right? Okay, I just want to make, because he said that, and I was like, what, Bruce Pearl? So, district tournament champion, regional tournament champion, semi-state. Was it called semi-state then?
It was.
Okay.
We called it semi-state or semi-state. And is it called a sectional now or something?
State first round, semi-state, depends on what part of the world you're in, but it's the same principle. So that was also had a championship for individuals awarded as well. So how'd you do there?
I was, again, very fortunate and worked my way through the bracket and made it to the finals and took first place in semi-state as well.
So first place districts, first place region, first place semi-state. Now, let's get to the meat of the matter, the state tournament bracket. The first round, you're wrestling Tony Bridgewater from Louisville Moore. You win that by a 19-2 decision. And kind of clear the air for us here, was that a tech fall?
It was not. I don't think the tech fall existed.
Okay, because the first one that we can find on video was Jared Trice, 1988 from Hoptown. He's the first one that we can find in the state finals where it's a tech fall. Had Dave Barnes not had his opponent in 88 on his back, at the end of the third period, his would have been a tech fall as well. But the first one that's called a tech fall that we can find is Jared Trice from Hoptown. Just a little
tidbit.
Little fun factoid there. So you get to I guess this would be the semis, because there's only an 8-man bracket back in the state that year. You wrestled a person that you wrestled in, I guess, the regions, Russ Cotton from Danville. And you win a 7-4 decision there. So you're in the finals. Feels pretty good to be in the finals, I have to imagine. It says coming in, your record is 27-2. So earlier you talked about your losses. I mean, 27 wins is good, but I think the story is the two. Tell us about those 2 losses.
The 2 losses, yes, the 2 losses was, which we touched on earlier, was a kid that I have no idea of his name, but he was from Indian Hill High School in Ohio. And then again, and he's in the state bracket as well, Tim Buami from Scott. He was.
We've got a little fun little piece of memorabilia we're going to show you about Mr. Buami here in a little bit, but we'll leave it right there.
He was just one of those guys that, and like I said, he was there every week or every weekend, and I'm like, oh, I got to wrestle him again. I know I was up against a good guy.
Now, Scott. That is in Kenton County, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, because they all kind of, I'd say they all kind of, you got your Connors, your Coopers, your Scotts, all these schools without like county names associated to it, that you're kind of like
where they at?
You know where Campbell County is. Right. You know where Boone County is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there's not like it'd be easier if you'd like Rowell of Boone County, kind of like a medieval name, Jonah the 14th of wherever. But you're in the finals against David Donnelly of Christian County. Now, why does that matter? Good question. I'm glad you asked. David Donnelly was the 1986 state champion at 98 pounds. And I kind of brought up asking about Hoptown to lead up to that question. You guys should know. If you don't, I'll go ahead and tell you. Hopkinsville, Hoptown, Christian County. Hopkinsville is Christian County's seat. Same distance away. I think the schools are only like 4 miles apart, distance-wise. Had you wrestled Donnelly before this?
I had not.
Okay. Did you know who he was?
I did, because he had a presence in our room, and there was always some shenanigans, I should say, going in, like Chuck Reimer, my wrestling partner on a daily most days. He had got beaten by Mr. Donnelly the previous year at the finals. So I had Chuck way on my side, because Chuck didn't like the kid, and David Barnes was the same way. they both wanted me to beat this guy, and I wanted to, of course, too. You know, you don't go in there to get second if you can help it.
Right.
But he had a presence. So in the wrestling room, Chuck's big nemesis was a guy of Connor who actually won a state title too. His name was John Wyan.
Yep.
You know, and everybody was like, "You better not do that. Wyan's not going to accept that." You know, and they would rib me about David Donnelly too. But I had never wrestled him too. But I knew he was in the crosshairs. He was coming down the pike.
I got you. And you know, for the youngsters, I guess high school age, watching this, you know, we always just couldn't pull out our phone, FaceTime, hey, or pull up TikTok and watch them wrestle, or pull up a YouTube series and watch them wrestle. I mean, if you just did not watch them in person wrestle at a tournament, you didn't see them wrestle.
Right.
Because videotapes, yes, they existed, but not everybody had access to a video camera. Not everybody had access to a VCR or Betamax, whatever they were filmed on. So if you just did not see them, and no matter how many people that go through, if you know somebody that was at a tournament that so and so was at, you're getting fourth or fifth, and you've never played a telephone game, I'm not telling you to do it, but it starts off as a feather in Independence. By the time it gets to Alexandria, it's a full-blown bird. It's a turkey or whatever it is. So that's just the way it is. So you can't really know what somebody's good at. You don't really know their body. Oh, he's about the size of so-and-so, maybe a little bit taller, maybe a little bit more muscle, not that much. So you really don't know what you're going into until did you kind of scout Donnelly out when you get to the state tournament, like watching any of his matches before?
I really don't remember doing that.
Okay.
You know, I know you'll see when we watch the match that I thought my win was like a frustration win because I was an upper guy and he appeared to be a lower guy. You'll notice how many times he tries to shoot in on me, and I don't ever do that. And in fact, I get a call for a stall in the first period, not a point deduction, but
right.
a warning. So I think you'll see a couple times where I try to tie up with him where he'll violently try to throw me away. And I don't know if he just got frustrated or, you know, but I think that was the difference. Like I was an upper guy and myself, I was much more of a defensive wrestler. I tried to capitalize on a mistake.
I got you.
And coaches would be mad at me because I would get a stall warning almost every match because I would just kind of sit back there and bide my time a little bit. And I was telling Mr. Blevins, you know, and I'll tell you too, like I feel like I won the state title just on 3 or 4 different moves. And I didn't try to have a plethora of moves. I tried to perfect those 3 or 4 that were comfortable for Jeff Everman.
I know.
And you'll see 3 of them in this match. And it was just an ankle pick, which I get him on the takedown and the pin. And I tried the headlock and the cradles. And those were the moves that were comfortable for me, and I felt that I could, I don't know, just work.
No, I think the great philosopher Bruce Lee said, don't practice, 10,000 kicks one time, practice one kick 10,000 times, or something to that effect. So it sounded like Mr. Lee knew what he's talking about. It sounded like you knew what you were good at, and you didn't. So many people that we've met with, like we've done their state championship videos, and then we'll see the person that was on the losing end of it, and they'll say something to the effect of, I tried this move, I'd never done it, I thought I could hit it, and it, got thrown to my back, or
right.
I don't know why I done this, or I don't know why I done that. If do what gets you to the dance. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Don't change what gets you there.
Right.
If you know you're good at it, stay with it. Don't try to change your whole game plan just because it's the state finals. Or at least that's the way I feel about it. I'm sure you probably feel it would have been pointless for you to go out and try moves you've never done before, right?
Sure, correct.
I mean, do what
I think that's the beauty of wrestling. You have to let it come to you. Mm-hmm. It's something that I just think you take what's given to you. You don't force things because it's not going to work.
Yeah,
the other guy, especially at this level, the other guy's going to know how to counter that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I feel like it's a very ebb and flow sport.
And speaking of ebb and flows, we're going to ebb and flow, and we're going to get. You have, I think, something about the Simon Kenton guys, because in Dave Barnes' video, I said his Wheaties box was the best piece of memorabilia that we've seen. But you've got something that's going to top it, and I can't wait to show you guys. Now you've got a.
Did you hear that, Dave Barnes?
Yeah. I've already been messaging back and forth here. But you have a lot of stuff we're going to get it set. Can't wait to show you guys. We'll see you there. And of course, when you win an individual state championship and a team state championship in the same season, you get a lot of cool memorabilia, a lot of keepsakes, and you have probably the most like newspaper clippings, photos, memorabilia of. I'd say it's probably tied between you and Dave Barnes of what's been brought out. It's pretty cool, but you have some really cool little mementos. This one, this is from the Hickory Grove Baptist Church. It's I love it. It's a like a big thumbs up.
Super pixelated, isn't it?
Yep. Congrats, SK Wrestlers, district, region, semi-state, state champions. We're proud of you, and it's really cool that I guess the church they like have you guys come over.
Yeah, well, I was a member there, or a member there. There was a couple of us who went to church there, so they recognized, and it was a big deal.
No, listen, people don't understand just how much like high school athletics means, and I'm not saying Independence is a small town, but I mean, you know, you got the Bengals, you got the Reds, you got Cincinnati Bearcats, whoever your allegiance is, but when it's the kids that you know, when it's the school that you went to, and they're able to win a state championship and come back, and you know, you see them on TV, and then you remember them, you know, running around playing. Like I know everybody knows I'm from Johnson County. Johnson Central won the 2016-2019 state football championships, and when you see kids out there making plays on Kroger Field or Western Kentucky University's field, making touchdowns, making tackles, interceptions, whatever it is, and then you remember watching them play their own little football game off by themselves in the baseball field, you know, 10 years before. You're like, man, you know, this is what high school athletics is all about, is just that community sense of pride, and it's cool that a church took the time to do that. Got a newspaper clipping here. Everman and Ryman helped Simon Kenton capture state crown. And the reason I picked this up is this is from the Courier Journal
in Louisville,
out of Louisville. So did they come interview you? Did they interview?
They did, but it was at the state finals.
Okay, because I was going to ask you about that. That's cool that you know, as you guys know, you're watching this wrestling for the longest time. But always get like the smallest article in the newspaper. Wouldn't even get mentioned sometimes. But it's cool that the Courier, you know, mentioned you by name and your team to do that. So it was kind of cool that they done that. Now this one, you guys will see a photo of that. Now this is your arch enemy, Buwami, and the implication is what? Tell us what
well, this was from a great group of girls that we had representing us and helping us, called the Mat Stats. I'm not sure if they even do that anymore, but they would make little trinkets and things and give us before we went to the matches on the weekends. And like Alex said, Tim Buwami was one of my biggest nemesis, so they made me this little sign that says, "Put the whammy on Buwami."
Put the whammy on
somehow
Buwami.
It's survived in my collection of stuff all these years, and now it's going to go to the grave with me. I love it,
dude. This is so cool, and you know, it's on the computer, so this is probably on, but before Windows, this is probably a DOS.
MS-DOS.
As I say, MS-DOS prompt, but that's cool, and you can tell like where it printed the lines. So that's cool that you have that. And another one that you had was the.
Again, that was from the Mat Stats.
And they would give us Mat Stats. Good luck, Jeff. 98 pounds. So it's cool that I said there's like a goodie bag.
Correct.
And I'm surprised that the bag's held up as long as it has. So guys and girls, now that girls are wrestling, keep your stuff. It may not mean a lot to you at the time, but I promise when you get up in years and you know you have a lot going on in your life, you can look back and at stuff like this or this little piece of paper that you probably would have tossed out in the sand. Man, how much simpler life was when I was in school. You know, all I had to worry about was putting the whammy on Buwami. And the tournament program from the 1987 districts, and you've got all the brackets filled in.
Actually, that was my loving mother who's filled those out. You know, she was super into it and always kept good records.
And there was Boone County was coached by Bill Turner, Campbell County by some guy named Mike Van Camper.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, Connor by some guy named Wayne Badita.
Him neither.
Never heard of those guys. Dixie Heights, Frank DeShera, Holmes, Red, Hillman-Dollar, Scott, Dave Manning, and then Simon Kenton, Mark Townsley. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 teams. I'm sorry, I can't count. So I guess it couldn't have been that long of a day, was it?
No, it was an 8-man, usually an 8-round tournament. Somebody had a bye.
And it's got the district results too. Oh, Kurt Zinga was at 98 pounds in 1986.
Yeah.
Wow. Got a couple more. And I guess you guys signed. Did people sign that?
Yeah, me.
Okay, I got you. And this was a regional team photo, I guess it was. And this is from 1984.
Yeah, these kind of guys were my idols. Like, both Ball brothers, Danny Barnes, David's older brother,
Right.
Rod Galloway, the Kylies, yeah.
Kevin Griffith.
Yeah, there were some. Those were guys who were like the foundation of Simon Kenton wrestling to me,
Wow.
and of course, the godfather of Simon Kenton wrestling, Bill Boyle.
Yeah, and whenever I saw the signatures, I was like, man,
Yeah, that would have done.
I love it. And a couple cool things here that you have. Well, those all been cool, but you have the 1986 and 1987 programs from the state tournament, and these are just so cool to look back through the years, see the advertisements. Like, we're not sponsored by Pepsi, but Pepsi has an ad. Pepsi, the choice of a new generation, that's got some wrestling going on. So very rarely will you see a Pepsi ad. So it's kind of cool that you have these.
Yeah, I like them.
And then we brought up the semi-states, and there was a program for the semi-states. So kind of for the history buffs, was it like the Eastern Kentucky, Lexington, Northern Kentucky region? Was that the semi-state? Do you remember?
It was like Lexington. I think Louisville was the cutoff. I think they went with the Western, and
I got you.
we got the West Virginia side of things.
Okay, no, that's because that's my
That's your hometown.
That's my part of my neck of
Yep.
the woods.
Yep.
Now, this looks like Kentucky's Most Wanted. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Photo here. You guys will see a photo of it. Got a lot of guys in here. A lot of gold. So kind of walk us through here, top to bottom, left to right. Who we got here?
Okay, these were the qualifiers for the state tournament. Bottom left is, of course, Simon Kenton's own David Barnes. Next to him is my everyday battle buddy Chuck Reimer, myself, and then another battle buddy everyday Paul Long. At the top left is David Feener, and then he was also a captain of that team. So was David Barnes. Next to him is Dave Broski, also a captain, and then Cliff Woods, which everybody envied at Simon Kenton because wrestling-wise, because the first year he wrestled, I think he took 5th in state, and then the second year he wrestled, he got 3rd in state. It was just uncommon how easy wrestling was for him. And then next was Robert Lee. And his brother also wrestled. Well, it wasn't in that picture. He'll be in the big picture, Pat Lee. Okay. So, and of course, there are 2 other brothers, Mike and Matt Lee.
Yep.
A good history of wrestling there, and the Lee brothers.
We know Mike and Matt's going to be watching this. Reach out to us so we can get your review videos done. That way we can add them to the collection. But man, I see a lot of state championship trophies. I see district, region, semi-state, state. I see a lot of medals hanging around guys' necks. What's this trophy?
That's the Northern Kentucky Athletic Conference trophy, and then the King of the Bluegrass, the one that Mr. Feener's holding.
So you guys just went through and cleaned house, right?
We did pretty good. We did okay.
And we're gonna save the coolest thing till last. And am I to understand that this hangs currently in the Simon Kenton trophy case?
That is correct, sir. If you are fortunate enough to win a state individual title, you get one of these put up there in Simon Kenton's trophy case. I'd like to also take the time right now to thank Nathan Gilbert and Coach Peebles for bringing me that item. We asked for the team trophy, and they brought us the team trophy and that for this video, which is very kind.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys know I love displaying all the memorabilia that people have, the trophies. I'm big on history, always have been, always big on being able. I'm a connect the dots guy. I like to being able to not just tell you, but I like to show you and give as much. Like I'm putting on a criminal proceeding, to the jury, that we can convince or show as much evidence as we can for whatever school, whatever person it is. And I love that aspect of it. And these, I wish somebody would go back to doing it. Maybe it's going to be me. I don't know. But these wonderful post-match photos of are just such a great snapshot, if you will, of wrestling at that time, because normally these photos should be done after the match, or before the match, I'm sorry, when you guys are in singlets or your warm-ups, I'm sorry, before you have to go out and sweat and compete. And Dave Barnes actually alluded to in his 88 video that, of course, Dave was in the finals in 87. He comes up a little bit short against Mark Ullman. Both Mark and Dave's videos are on the channel if you want to check those out after you get done watching the Simon Kenton playlist. But Dave brings up that after he gets beat, there they are, take the photo. He had I think his mom and dad put it up right outside of his bedroom. He has to look at it every
For a
day
year.
when he comes out, and he was just so aggravated. And as soon as I got there, the first thing Mark handed me was that photo. He was like, "Here, send this to Dave. Send him a photo." And we put that in there.
And I feel Dave's pain because, I don't. Obviously, I was on the good side of this match,
Right.
but I'm trying my best to hold back like a Texas-sized smile here.
I can understand.
Just to be a good sport.
Of course, you guys are seeing it, and you can tell that he's not too happy, and you can tell that you guys have been in a battle.
Right.
You can. I don't know who the referee. If you know who the referee is, put it in the comments. But it's just such a great snapshot and having this photo, phenomenal, priceless. But the reason this series works, the reason this series has been so successful, is having the match video. And we can look at a photo and say, wow, look at the photo of you hanging up in the trophy case. I wonder how good this guy was. Well, now, guess what? You guys get to see it. You get to watch it. You get to hear whoever it is, whether it's Jeff, whoever it is, talk their way through it, and be able to put mat time with the face that you've seen in the gym for so long, or the name up on the banner. Does Simon Kenton have like a banner up in the gym for?
They do.
Okay, because I've not been to Simon Kenton's gym. But now, and like I said earlier, wrestling has been hid for so long in the gyms, because if you wasn't there, chances are you never got to see that person wrestling. Maybe you know the name. Maybe you come to La Rosa's, you see Dave Barnes's, banner hanging up back here, or you over here in the mural. That's cool. That's great. But when you got the video, it just adds so much to it. And the state championship ring, just a phenomenal piece. Of course, you guys will see photos of it, but man, do you wear this a lot? Do you keep it up?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
It's just a great, those rings. Now we see people. I forget the NBA player. Every time, it's not Steph Curry, but it's one of the big time NBA players. They'll point at their finger when they're getting the finals, or you start seeing college athletes do that now. The woman that plays at LSU, I can't remember her name. The whole team was doing that. Yeah. It's just, when you get that big ring, it just means so much, don't it?
It does. It's very cool.
You get it, and you're just like, this is mine forever. Nobody can take this from me. Now, we showed you all the memorabilia, all that stuff's cool. And we said in Dave Barnes' video, the Wheaties box that he had his mother made for him when he was at Miami of Ohio was the coolest piece of memorabilia that we've ever seen. Well, we've got something here that tops it. And if you guys know anything about me, every time I come up to Northern Kentucky area, I find a La Rosa's. When I go to Kings Island, first thing, I go right straight past the Eiffel Tower, hit the La Rosa's on the right. I go back, ride the Beast, get another piece, go up in that, take cool off, go in the indoor place there, the Festivus. But we're at La Rosa's today. We're at the Independence. La Rosa's about a mile or so from Simon Kenton High School. And I saw this menu laying there, and I was like, well, I didn't know what it was. You pointed it out to me. Now, we're not sponsored by La Rosa's. I just want everybody to know that. But this is the coolest thing that I've ever seen, memorabilia-wise. You have your own, you guys are going to see a photo, you have your own menu item. The Jeff Everman and family SK Wrestling State Champ 4-taste sampler featuring 5 boneless wings, cheese sticks, fresh fried kitchen chips, onion twist, followed with a Circassia and pepperoni pie pizza. You have your own La Rosa's pizza menu, man. It don't get much cooler than having your own menu item at a restaurant. I don't know if any other state champions in the world do that besides you. So tell us the story about the La Rosa's Pizza.
Well, it was very cool. Obviously, the owner of this La Rosa's here is a good friend of ours, and in 1989 Simon Kenton grad Gary Holland, and he also was kind enough to let Alex and I have our interview here, and a couple others hopefully. Well, he called me obviously way after the state champions, probably in the 2015ish or so, and asked me what my family got for La Rosa's when we got that, and I told him, but I'm like, and that's all he wanted. He's like, okay, see you later. And I'm like, what's he up to? Well, the next about a week or so, or maybe a month or so later, I get a screenshot from a fellow friend saying that they got the Jeff Everman special at the local La Rosa's. And it was a very nice gesture of Gary and his staff to do that for not just myself, but some other local Independence people.
Man, and Scott Harney, fastest SK football player ever. I mean, I'm not sure if that's factual or not.
That's debatable. That's debatable.
Yeah, Sean Cunningham and family, class of '89. Yeah. Mary Bush and family, class of '89. David
Meenick was one of Gary's partners. Yeah.
Okay, I mean
Jeff Stowers.
Jeff Stowers, the coach.
Yeah, it was cool.
Just so cool that they're able to do this, and when you see that your name and it says SK Wrestling State Champion. I mean, that's cool.
Yes, it was.
That is so cool that, like I said, the school is maybe a mile from here.
It is. Yes.
So you can always have that, and when I saw that blew me away. That's by far my favorite piece of memorabilia. So we have talked enough. We've covered a lot of ground. It's now time for the video. We're going to get our computer set. We're going to go back to 1987 Atherton Gym. We'll see you guys there. You guys are seeing what we're seeing. We are at Atherton Gym, made famous by Jack Harlow in his rap video. The state finals was held here until 1995, and every video that I've got at Atherton, the gym is just crazy crowded. And specifically, when it gets to your part of the match, or your finals are here at the ending, there has to be, looks like 30,000 Simon Kenton fans. I don't think there was that many, but that's what it looks like. So, you guys, you're kind of leading in the team score. Do you guys go to payphones and make calls? Hey, we're in the, because you just couldn't, put out a Facebook Live or an Instagram or whatever that we're, leading. Does your student body just show up, or how does that work?
We were very blessed with that they traveled well, and I think part of it was that it was a lot of people who went and stayed the night over.
Okay.
And it was a little bit of a party too.
We've heard some stories about the Atherton parties.
So, and I remember when I wasn't fortunate enough to make it to the finals the year before and the year before that I still went down there to watch, and learn, but I also had a good time and got away from mom and dad a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So we were always blessed with a really good following, and it was awesome. Like looking back, and I don't think you appreciate it as much as when you're going through that, but now looking back, it's awesome that there was that type of people, and I didn't think it was that big of a deal until maybe 10 or 15 years later, like when I run into somebody that I hadn't seen in a long time, and they tell me, they're like, Jeff, I remember right where I was sitting in that gym when you beat that kid.
Yeah.
And it would give me goose pimples. It was just I knew it was bigger than it really was, and it was very cool. And we were super blessed to have that type of a following.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely. So we have talked enough, man. Let's go. There's Donnelly walking out. Look at the crowd right there. Look how big that crowd is. Here you come out. Getting your hands all good and loose.
Yes, sir.
It kind of picks up a few seconds into it, but
you didn't miss anything.
Right out of the gate. What was your go-to takedown?
Usually, I would try the headlock, and you'll see that I'm trying to work that to get sideways because it was much more effective. And try to get it once right there, and since he's on his knees, it's not real effective. He's just too strong.
Yeah.
Low. But that was my favorite. I was a throw guy. And like I told you earlier, I think Mr. Donnelly was more of a shooter or a leg guy. So I just feel like I frustrated him, and you'll see that he'll get mad at me trying to tie up. or at least I feel. I can't speak for him, obviously. But,
no, I get it.
I was much more better right there at that tie-up. You know.
Now, I've had to turn the volume down because what I do is with these videos is I use the volume from the match. I don't pump in or add the track on, and it is so loud. In
Atherton, yeah.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember hearing like the noise?
I a little bit, but not so much here. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like you're streamlined. You know, and looking back, I can remember one of the coaches yelling at me. I think Carl Darden, assistant's like, high leg back, Jeff, and I don't remember it during the match, but watching it here I have, and you'll be able to hear him say it here right at the end of the first period.
And because
see, he was always shooting, which wasn't my strong suit.
And for those that are interested, I believe Christian County comes in second place as a team in '87, and they win the team title in '88. So the Christian County Hoptown, man, they had it going on in the mid to late '80s and even up through the '90s. So you're, like I said in Braden Blevins' video, you're going to have to win this. You are not going to accidentally just fumble through it. I mean, with when Braden Blevins beat Dennis in 23, he had to win it. Same thing with you. You are wrestling to defend the state champion. You were going to have to win this.
There's a caution. A caution for stalling on Simon.
Yep, so you've been hit for stalling. Does that kind of change your game plan?
A little bit. You'll see I'm a little bit more aggressive here. And then I tried that ankle pick, which is eventually the move that I get him on. And I may have that cradle together there. Well, maybe not. I guess.
All right. So I believe that's the end of the period.
Yeah. Donnelly wins and he defers. I choose down, which was, I didn't feel like anybody could really keep me down. We were just too wiry of a guy.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand. You can hear the crowd, let's go, Jeff, let's go, Jeff. You come up, you turn.
And eventually get the one after we got a balance.
Yep. Right there, that should be one, Mr. Official. Okay.
Then we lock up. Ankle
there
pick.
It is. Ankle pick, step, trip. You lock this in.
And he could have got out of it until I captured that leg.
Yep.
Like I feel like I'm in a little bit of trouble right there because you can see, and he's not wanting to let me get back to that leg. Because if I do, it's game over.
Turn out the light, the party's over.
And then I can finally.
You step over, you capture that leg like you're supposed to in that type of a cradle. And there it is, man. You get the pin.
I'm a little excited.
Oh, hey, you had to run. Now look at the crowd.
I tell my kids those are my peeps.
Hey, fellow pioneers, you run over, and I love this. The ref comes to get you to take that photo at the end. You walk over to the corner
and get the photo.
And get that.
It's horrible they make you do that afterwards.
Yeah, it's after. Like, I'm tired. I want to celebrate. I celebrate.
There's my buddy Chuck.
Yeah, there's Chuck.
Cliff Woods.
We're gonna get Chuck after, and they pick you up, carry you off.
Dave.
Yep, Dave Barnes. And there you, man, hopping up on top of the metal podium.
And there's still Mr. Buami, placing fourth.
You somebody put the whammy on Buami. There's Orville Williams. Rest in peace to Mr. Williams. There you are with the bracket. Now, what do they hand you right here? Do you remember?
I do. It was like a poster of like the top American Olympic athletes. The big guy in the middle, if you can make it out, was Dan Gable.
Okay.
It was just like a poster you could hang on your wall. I would love to still have it. Like, this is Dan Gable.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
And this is the 1987 individual state champions. I like to add this in if it's there. There's Dominic Black. We've met with Dominic. We're going to be meeting with Larry Woodford.
Tim Vaughn. Scott.
A lot of good wrestling there. Dominic Black, I believe his wrestling career turned out all right.
He did okay.
Yeah, his video's on the channel as well in the Henry Clay playlist.
He was the most valuable that
most
year.
outstanding. He was tough too. And here is Simon Kenton getting their team trophy. You said this. There's Dave Barnes right there with the
sailor hat on. He always had everybody had like their unique hat. I just had a bunch of hair.
Hey, it worked, right? My man here with the mustache, what was his name?
Dave Broski?
Yeah, man, I love that shirt. Yeah. That was... And get out of the way! Not sure who's running the camera, but they knew what they were doing. And, man, I believe you're holding the trophy there, right?
Yes, sir. And guess what?
Can I hold it again? I was going to say, we have something else. This is the trophy that you were holding. Go ahead, pick it up, man. Go ahead, pick it up. That's the trophy that you were holding in that 1987 video. It's been in Simon Kenton's trophy case all these years, 36 years later, and we were, gracious enough to get it and have it on display, man. Just such a great piece of history for the school, Simon Kenton, the wrestling program, because you guys have done it once, you can do it again. I mean, that's something that so many people, whether it's for some schools, some of your better athletic programs in the state, we're not going to start naming names, but they win a state championship, it's just a ho-hum, we put another one in a trophy case, whatever. Some schools make it to like a regional tournament or make it to the third round of the playoffs in football. I mean, they're having parades downtown, whatever, but the gist of that is, if we done it once, we can do it again. We can do it here. We had, the wrestlers to do it. What's it going to take to get us back on top of the hill? And man, like I said, thanks for bringing this out.
Thank you, Coach Gilbert. Thank you, Coach Peebles, for letting us borrow that.
Just such a great piece of history. Of course, you guys will see up close photos of it. We got a couple more things that we were saving that we wanted to kind of pull off. That cradle. What a great way to get a pin, right? Great way to start off the finals. And of course, you guys saw the video. But man, look at this photo here. You guys will see a better photo of that in the actual video. But you said a newspaper took a photo of that, correct?
Well, there was a photo with the ref's hands like showing how much I needed to get a shoulder back down, and then I think my mother was so inclined to ask about any more photos they might not have published in the newspaper.
Okay.
And they sent us this.
Wow.
This is right when he marked the pin.
It is right as he is making contact with the mat. It's just a great photo. Just a great. I think that the guy in the glasses in the back. I think
the photographer,
or I think that's the Henry Clay coach.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because I think he's in Dominic's most outstanding wrestler tribute video. I believe that's how it is. So just a great photo, man. Just they'll saying a picture's worth 1,000 words, and one of my favorite songs, Jamie Johnson, the song "In Color." You should have seen it in color, and now people can see it in color.
Yeah.
The picture's worth 1,000 words.
That's a great song.
You can't keep what those shades of gray keep colored. You should have seen it in color, and that is just like perfect. Just what a pin, what a way to get the finals started, what a way to let the state know, hey, Simon Kenton, this is our year. Nobody's taking it from us, right?
Right.
And we've got one more photo. Speaking of, you should have seen it in color. We've got this also hangs in Simon Kenton's trophy case. This is the team trophy photo from 1987, the team state championship photo. And we'll kind of let you kind of walk us through here.
Sure, I would love to do that.
It says 1986 Simon Kenton High School Northern Kentucky Athletic Conference Class AA Boys Wrestling Champion, KHSAA District Region Champion, Semi-State and State Champions. Now, walk us through the team here.
I sure would love to do that because these were the guys that we went to battle with
absolutely
week to week to get the good stuff. John Collins, a wrestling buddy of mine, and myself and Chuck Reimer. Again, Chuck was my daily partner, and the bigger guys used to hate Chuck and myself because we were always cutting weight. And at this time, our wrestling practice room was the same room that they had an actual health class in. So it had its own thermostat, and Chuck and I were always cutting weight. So Chuck, whenever we would go out for a break, Chuck or myself would always go over and ram that thermometer up to about 90. And the big guys just, they didn't like it that the room was so hot, but Chuck and I and John as well, and some of the middle weights were always guilty of doing that.
Yeah.
The middle row, Paul Long. Paul Long is another great wrestler. He was down there at the state title, and I think he came in third. Cliff Woods, again, I talked about Cliff. You know, he was just a man-child. I think he wrestled maybe 2 or 3 years and placed in state all 3 years, which is absurd.
No.
Brian Breerton, again, a good wrestler. He was at the districts and contributed. You know, the Lee brothers, Pat and Bobby Lee, and of course, you know, their younger brothers, Mike and Matt. It's good history there. David Broski, our heavyweight, and he was our 185 guy. You know, Eric Miller, middleweight, a good practice buddy every once in a while. And the coaches, we wouldn't have been where we were without Carl Durden, Coach Townsley, Rick Barker, and of course Bill Boyle.
Yeah, and just great team there, great group of wrestling talent that's been assembled, and it's I'm glad we were able to get this, pull it out, because the more we're able to add to display in the video, the better you guys enjoy it. The more that I like being able to add it in, because it puts that authenticity on it. It's not just us sitting in front of a camera. It's here it is. This is hung in our trophy case. It's been in our school forever. Now it's finally getting the life that it deserves.
Right.
It's finally getting the recognition that it deserves, and everybody associated, whether it's you're Simon Kenton or whether you're not, you still can know the history. And that's what I love about doing this series. And we've
I don't know how I skipped over Mr. Barnes, but David Barnes was an intricate part of not just this team, but Simon Kenton wrestling in general.
Yeah, Dave. So. One of Kentucky's 4 All-Americans at the NCAA tournament. 1988 most outstanding. Of course, Simon Kenton has 2 most outstanding wrestlers, Dave in 88, Casey Cornett in 2017. We're going to be getting with Casey at some point. But Dave's been around the sport, feels like forever.
And just think about what he's done for, like Mr. Blevins and I were talking, like he helped at Ryle, he helped at Walton Verona. He's just a roots guy.
Just a type of person that you want on your wrestling staff. No matter if you're starting a program or you're a dynasty, no matter where it's at, David Barnes is going to be able to contribute to your wrestling.
He will make it work.
To your wrestling team. And especially if you like Wheaties, you can get his Wheaties box and eat his Wheaties. You know what I'm saying? You better. That used to be a saying for the kids. You better eat your Wheaties. When you wrestle Dave Barnes, when you wrestled Jeff Everman, you better eat your Wheaties, and you better eat your Jeff Everman special here at La Rosa's. So, man, we've covered a lot of ground, a lot of great history for Simon Kenton Wrestling here in your video. Before we wrap it up, do you have anything you'd like to say, add, take away?
Just one thing. I'd like to thank just a couple people.
Go, absolutely.
My parents, especially, for they were the ones that really kept the memorabilia. You take that for granted. And I also like to thank Gary for letting us have this place, Gary Holland. And we mentioned the coaches and the players, and I'd like to mention the mat stats again if I could. That's Brandy Butler, Steph Carmack, Tammy Collins, Jennifer Cooper, Kim Faulkner, Amy Kennedy, Jody Miller, Tony Nicholson, Tracy Pickett, Michelle Ritchie, and Dawn Smith. And ladies, I apologize for using your high school name. I know that a lot of those last names have changed, but if it wasn't for you guys and people like my parents and people that reached out, I wouldn't have a lot of this memorabilia. You just take that for granted, I feel, as a high schooler, but it's super special to me now. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Alex Green for not so much as putting me in this hot seat here, but shedding light on Simon Kenton Wrestling and the outstanding program it's become.
Yeah, and it's Simon Kenton has name value. I mean, it does. No matter, when you get your assignments. Of course, you guys know I referee, but certain meets we go to, we kind of know, it's teams are starting up, or you kind of know what you're getting into. But you see what teams are going to be there. There's certain teams that you look at and you're like, oh, whoa, like your Johnsons, your Woodfords, Trinity, St. X, people like that. But when you see like Simon Kenton you're like, Simon Kenton's going to be there. Whoa, because of the history that you guys have been able to lay, the name value that Simon Kenton has. Same thing with your Campbell. I know this is a Simon Kenton video, but your Campbell counties, your Connors, the Northern Kentucky area, just as a whole. When you see one of the names on this, on the roster, you're like, whoa, Simon Kenton's coming all this way. And it's usually when Simon Kenton travels, when a team like Campbell County travels or Connor they have a couple of wrestlers that are number 1, number 2 ranked in the state, and like there's a number 3, number 4, number 5 wrestler, and they want to see they want to wrestle them. They want to see. I don't want to just wrestle you in the state finals or in the state tournament. I want to wrestle you before. Right. Yeah, let's feel each other out. Let's see what we got.
Right.
Let's go. What we got. What we got to lose. Right. Because this is going to be a rematch here in a few months. So, man. Thank you to the Rosas for hosting us. We're getting ready to eat some. I've been smelling my favorite food in the whole world for about the past 3 hours, so we're getting ready to devour some food here. But man, thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir, for having me.
I really appreciate it. Simon Kenton, we're going to be posting a list of the Simon Kenton State champions right here so you guys can see. We've contacted several of the guys, but if you know how to get up with just any of them, be sure to shoot them this video, shoot them my YouTube channel. That way we can get the entirety of the Simon Kenton state champions on the channel, because there's only a few guys that we don't have videos for as it stands now. But the guys that we don't have the videos for, that I don't have, they said they have the VHS, they have the DVD. So it's just a fact of getting them converted and meeting them, and we can get the entirety of the Simon Kenton State Championship roster on the channel so the world can see, hey man, the Pioneers have it going on.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the mats.